So these chapters are kind of flying by. Okay, we're skipping ahead of 2 weeks pretty much. Tuesday morning, September 20th. Almost 2 weeks have passed since my first day in the life of Marcus, and with every day I found myself growing more confident and resourceful. We started out doing collections as we'd done on our first day of work, and worked our way up to doing deliveries as well. Apparently some gamblers actually win, even if their luck doesn't last. Since we usually finish around midday, I've been spending my afternoon sparring and training with Andre. Slowly but surely, I'm improving. My injuries haven't lessened with every match, and my rate of recovery is at an all-time high. My tailbone no longer feels like it's broken, I'm able to dodge most of my opponent's blows, and I'm barely suffering a single bruise. Maybe I have what it takes to be a fighter after all. Despite my improvement, it seems I may not need to enter the ring after all. Although there's always a need for more combatants, reliable collectors are apparently far more valuable. As long as I keep doing what I've been doing, Marcus believes our current work will last for many months to come. I'll be able to make a comfortable living doing despicable, legally questionable work. Marcus won't need another lackluster cover job, and Karsu will have 2 trustworthy collectors. With our current predicament being what it is, everybody wins. Everybody, that is, except for Sara. While I've been growing stronger and more capable every day, Sara has been doing the opposite. She was as happy as ever over the weekend, then became depressed and on edge the second that Monday rolled around. Another week rolled by and the same pattern repeated itself. Lately, Sara has been returning with misery so obvious that it pains me to simply look at her, let alone try to once again ask her what's wrong. Her mental state just continues to degrade, and she won't tell me a thing. Yesterday afternoon, Sara practically broke down the moment I returned. She cried and cried, allowing herself no reprieve as she silently wept for a reason still unknown. I carefully looked her over, noticing no physical injuries of any kind. Her clothes weren't torn, and her hair was straight. Nothing was amiss. All I could do was offer Sara a shoulder to cry on as I attempted to console her, holding her tight until I was on the verge of tears myself. I don't know what's worse, seeing the only loved one I have left in such a state, or feeling powerless to do a thing about it. This morning, the day after her most recent and grandiose episode, Sara's gradual return to the world of the living brought with it a fresh attitude and renewed spirit. She quickly wiped her eyes and nose and changed into her school uniform and began making breakfast. Whatever happened yesterday was nothing a good night's rest couldn't help rectify. Proceeding with her usual morning routine, Sara brushed off any and all questions I threw at her regarding last night's episode, determined to shut me out of whatever she's going through. But I won't let her. Following Sara's usual departure, I quickly changed into a hooded jacket that I purchased on my way home from work. I stashed in my pockets the knife Marcus gave me and enough money to allow for any necessary expenditures, leaving a second later and taking off in Sara's direction. Chasing after Sara's shadow, I made it to the bus stop with seconds to spare, boarding a few passengers behind her, and making sure to conceal my face. Sara isn't expecting me to be here, so she obviously won't seek me out, but all it takes is a single well-timed glance. I wondered what she'd say if she knew her own brother was stalking her. I know this is a bit much, but she hasn't given me many options here. Slowly passing my sister by, I took a seat towards the back of the bus, 2 seats behind Sara. I'm a little worried that keeping so close might result in my identity being exposed, but the alternative of being too far away to do anything seems far more off-putting. A few more passengers boarded before the bus set on its usual course. Sara sat quietly by herself, staring out the window the entire trip, seemingly without a care in the world. She didn't say a word to the other passengers, or do anything to attract attention, and in return she didn't meet with any conflict to speak of. After what felt like only a few minutes, we reached our destination. Ascending 2 flights of stairs, we made our way from the bus to the city's train station. I continued to follow Sara, but no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't find any reason for her recent depression. Could it be that she's being bullied at school after all? If that were the case, she'd want to change schools, not move houses. But if it isn't the commute, then... As if responding to my doubt, trouble finally emerged. Standing between Sarah and the ticket gates were two teenage boys, each of whom seemed to recognize Sarah the moment they laid eyes on her. Likewise, Sarah's expression worsened as they approached her, quickly confirming my suspicions. Although I was a little too far away to hear what the boys were saying to her, Sarah's expression and demeanor spoke volumes. The duo continued to cut her off whenever Sarah tried to walk away, often standing on either side of her to block her exits. They smirked to themselves whenever she lashed out, laughing while Sarah snorted in disgust. Even without hearing a single word, I knew they were the ones I was after. Once our train arrived, the two boys followed Sarah into her chosen carriage. They allowed only a few feet between themselves and Sarah at any point in time, following close behind as she tried to distance herself from them. Hey, slow down, what's the rush? Don't you want to sit with us? Keep it down, you two. Seizing an opportunity the moment it struck, Sarah sat down next to a police officer, finally granting herself a moment's reprieve from her pursuers. Nicely done, sis. Although the trip itself proved rather peaceful, harassment resumed the moment Sarah reached her destination. It may only take a few minutes to get from the station to her school, but time isn't the only factor here. While the train station had security cameras and the trains were lined with cops and rail staff, the road to her school encompasses little more than side streets and vacant lots. Unlike at the station, the two teenagers kept their distance on the walk to school. They followed at least 10 meters behind Sarah at all times, allowing them to talk quietly between themselves without giving their target any indication as to what they were up to. With a safe distance between Sarah and her pursuers, I moved in closer, enabling myself to listen in on the conversation the duo were having. You're killing me, man. Why not today? There aren't that many people around. Just be patient. Her time will come. We have to wait until she's alone, you know? You've been saying that for weeks. When is her time, exactly? When God says so, my friend. Just stay calm. Getting desperate is the first step towards getting caught. I suppose you would know. But shouldn't an ex-con like you have a bigger sex drive? Why does it feel like I'm the only one into it today? You're just too focused on that silver girl. You need to diversify your palate. Taste a couple of other girls first to whet your appetite, you know? As I listened to what the two were discussing, I could feel a familiar surge from the bottom of my stomach. I clenched my fists so tight that I could feel my own pulse, utilizing every fiber of self-control at my disposal in order to keep my fists by my sides. I know I need to remain calm, but my blood is already boiling. The mere thought of what they're alluding to is driving me absolutely livid. Sarah's been mere feet away from these two cretins for weeks now, being broken down mentally until the point of tears, and they're laughing and snickering about what they have planned for her. If I don't step in, if I didn't tail Sarah at all, I can only imagine how long it would take before... No, don't even think like that. What matters is that I am here, and that this will all end today, one way or another. As Sarah neared the end of her short walk, she practically sprinted through the school gates, enjoying the safety her school provided. With other students milling around the front of the school and hundreds more within, she was soon among friends, safe from the clutches of her stalkers. Bye-bye. See you after school. Those dirtbags, they really are laying it on thick. Between the discretion they've shown thus far and the false familiarity they exude, it's no wonder Sarah hasn't managed to shake them off. It's not a rare sight seeing teenagers hit on one another or breach the personal space of others. As long as they don't step too far out of line, random passers-by would think nothing of it. If their intentions didn't make me want to throw up, I might actually praise how much thought they've put into this. So ready to intercept the next train? There are always fewer passengers on the late trains, and the students are in too much of a hurry to notice shit. Sounds like a plan to me. No argument here. Heading back on a slightly different route, I soon find myself watching the duo from afar, giving myself enough cover to prevent the two from noticing my presence. I took the time to make myself room between some bushes in the side of a nearby house, settling in for longer than I would have liked as I watched over my targets. Although watching and waiting isn't a skill of mine in which I have much faith, it does give me time to cool off, offering much-needed shade and breathing room. I should use this time to calm down, gather my thoughts, and The moment I tried to calm myself, I once again felt that same sickening feeling in my chest. What on earth was I thinking? How could I possibly calm down knowing what those two are doing? How can I just sit and wait while those two go about their lives preparing to grab another victim? How can I let people like them roam the streets, preying on innocent young girls? Scum like that don't deserve to live, much less breathe the same air as my sister. They could both die tomorrow and the world would be a better place. Better yet, they could die today. 10 minutes of agony later, another train came along, carrying with it several unsuspecting targets. Even from my post shrouded in foliage, I could easily make out every movement of my targets, and more importantly, their next victim. A slender, timid-looking girl, probably a year younger than Sara and I. She was wearing the same uniform and had a similar build as Sara, but her demeanor and attitude seemed more naive and carefree. A pretty young girl would make two perfect victims. No sooner had I made my guess than the duo began stalking their prey. Their target was in too much of a rush for the same level of caution to be necessary, unaware that she was even being followed. They tailed the girl closely, roughly matching her pace until the three passed by an empty dead-end street. Now. Hey, hold her legs properly. Shut up and gag her. One team covered the girl's mouth with the cloth he'd been concealing in his pocket while the other grabbed her legs. Taking advantage of her shock, the duo immediately carried her towards the empty street, leaving a house on the corner they presumably knew to be empty at her time. The girl was scared stiff. Once the initial shock wore off, she began flailing wildly. Picked a feisty one today. Of course, energetic girls are the best, don't you think? No argument there. I followed the three as inconspicuously as I could, utilizing the neighbors' yards instead of risking being seen on the side of the road. Climbing up the fence of the house in question, I leaned across and grabbed onto the railing of the house's back veranda, pulling myself to the dilapidated building and quietly entering from the back. I slowly walked from room to room, watching my back every step of the way. Tiptoeing, I remained vigilant not to make a sound, proceeding with caution until I found my own targets. Jeez, quit store language, you know it won't do you any good. You tell her, bud. Maybe women never listen. By the time I found the dude, I was already holding the girl down, sitting on her stomach and pinning both of her arms down with his own. His weight appeared to be more than enough to restrain the girl, making the job easier than he dared hope. In her mouth, the same cloth they used to gag her during the initial grab, now kept in place by the use of duct tape. Alright, almost done. About time. Let's get the show on the road already. While the first team prevented their prey from escaping, the other emerged from the next room, armed with my video camera and a stack of condoms. By now, Frank knew exactly what they were planning, sobbing silently as she continued to flail and attempt to regain her freedom. Come on, hurry it up already. Take too long and I'll start without you, you know. Calm down, we have all the time in the world. Let's just enjoy ourselves, yeah? While the dominant member of the duo set up his tripod and cabin mirror, I slowly edged my way to the next room, removing from my pocket a knife I intended on using as a last resort. Biding my time and slowing my breathing, I tried to get hold of my nerves, clutching my blade tightly as I neared the dominant young man. Despite my on-the-job training over the last few weeks, I found myself shaking with fear and anticipation, afraid to use the blade in my hand, yet compelled to put the two criminals in their place. I could see myself attacking them, beating the duo into submission, making them pay for victimizing a young girl like this. When it came to actually using the knife in my hand, I froze. Throughout the many violent encounters I had started and ended over the years, not once had I used a weapon. I had never done something as cowardly as sneaking up on someone and stabbing them in the back, or bringing a knife to a fistfight. Even when I killed my previous boss, Mr. Mudo, I had done so with my bare hands, killing him by accident as things got out of control. So when I tried to use the blade in my hand to attack the scum in front of me, to give them what they had coming, I realized that You're a coward. Yes, I am a coward. I know what I need to do. I know how to make the situation all better. So why? Why can't I move? You're weak. It's because I'm weak, isn't it? I don't have the strength to help that girl. Helping complete strangers is a job for the police. I have no business with that girl to begin with. Why am I even here? Why did I come here today? That girl is just some random person I've never even met before. Her well-being is not my problem. And if it were Sara? Sara? No. If that had been Sara in there. If that had been Sara. There, the perfect angle. Ready for your debut, little miss? Interrupted mid-sentence, the teen's eyes shot wide open as pain, like anything he'd felt before, permeated throughout his body. Protruding from his stomach was the tip of a knife, taking with it bone cartilage from his spine. Before he could so just wipe off the blood dripping from his mouth, the teen's legs buckled and forced him to the floor, refusing to move no matter how much he pulled them so. What the fuck? With the first youth disposed of, I swiftly embraced his partner, grabbing the teen by his throat and dragging him off the petrified girl beneath. Alerted to my presence by his partner's groan, the second target tried to fight back, nailing one of the papers on my stomach with his first shot. With adrenaline and anger fueling my every action, the pain didn't even register. I removed my hand from his throat and gripped him by the hair, exposing his throat for the obvious next step. The moment my hand left his throat, my knife took its place. I cut quickly and deeply, paying no heed to the blood spraying on my hand. The young man desperately grabbed at his throat, trying to stop the bleeding by any means necessary. With both his hands occupied, any defense he could have offered was removed. Seizing the opportunity, I focused on the back of my prey's neck, and at last, it was over. As my second victim fell to the floor in a bloody heap, I slowly walked away, careful not to step in his pooling remains. But as I looked down at my hands, a familiar feeling of shock and horror set in, driving me to an unwelcome realization. It happened again. I had been overwhelmed by blood lost a moment ago, but the second my prey hit the floor, I realized what I had done. My hands shook, and I could hear my ragged breathing. Before me was a corpse, a deceased human being. A human being I had killed. Just like with Mudo, I lost myself in the moment, forgetting all about the situation at hand and thinking only about my target. No, this is much worse. Mr. Mudo was an accident. I slammed his head against the table during our fight, never intending to actually kill him. But this time, I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew, and yet As I stared at my bloody hands, I noticed subtle movement out of the corner of my eye. The girl I had sought to save had her back against the wall, no doubt in shock and terrified by everything that had happened since she alighted from the train. I've never actually heard that word before. She looked at me with unbridled fear in her eyes, a view I repaid with a calm smile. Looking at the frightened girl, I remembered where I was and why I had gone to such extremes. I didn't set out to kill anyone today. I came here to protect Sara, to protect girls like this one from those fiends. My methods may have been contemptible, but even so, I had my reasons. I removed the tape from the fine girl's mouth with my bloody hands, and with far less resistance than I thought I would. Whether paralyzed by fear or simply smart enough to not provoke a murderer, the girl remained frozen, allowing me to cut the tape binding her hands. I guess that's it for me. Those two won't be going anywhere, and the girl is free to move as she pleases. My work here is... Just as I turned to leave, I felt my leg snag on something. When I spun back around, what I found was the arm of the girl I just helped, tightly clinging to my pants. Her gaze was locked onto my own pupils, no longer showing the fear I'd witnessed moments ago. I suppose that's for the best. If she's lucid enough to differentiate between friend and foe, then I should be able to leave her without worrying. I removed the girl's arm from my leg, then turned once again to walk away. Emptying the contents of my stomach into the bathroom sink, I washed my mouth out for the nth time as I tried to clean myself off. For all of my efforts, the sink now reeks of bile and stomach acid, not to mention whatever remained of breakfast. I managed to keep my composure at the scene and even on the way home, but the moment I entered the front door, my stomach took a turn for the worse. Be it the diminishing adrenaline, the overwhelming scent of blood, or the sheer gravity of what I'd done, my body is now paying the price. I spat up the last of my breakfast and hung my head over the sink, closing my eyes as I thought back over what had happened. After leaving that girl's side, I used my hooded jacket to wipe the blood off my knife. This is an amateur move. You're supposed to use their clothes to wipe the blood. I exited the same way I entered, jumping over neighboring fences until I reached the road, then casually walked away from the house. Once I'd put some distance between myself and the crime scene, I then ditched the conspicuous article of clothing in a storm drain, and kept the clean weapon tucked under my shirt. As for my gloves... oh no. I wasn't wearing gloves from the beginning, was I? I didn't think I'd need them, so I never bothered buying any. A weapon seemed like an obvious purchase for someone in my new line of work, but gloves? My fingerprints will be in several places around that house, not to mention on my second victim. Luckily, my fingerprints aren't on file as far as I know, but any possible evidence is bad news. And even without my fingerprints being present, there's still the matter of that girl. She saw my face. She has a piece of tape with my bloody thumbprint on it. She can place me at the scene of the crime. But will she? When I left, that girl seemed to realize that I meant her no harm. If anything, I helped her out of a bind, so shouldn't she do the same? Even if she does play along, the fact is that I'm in serious trouble now. My job is both dangerous and criminal. I've killed 3 people, and yet another person now has the power to put me behind bars. If I'm not careful, my work might just start to follow me home. Finally prying myself away from the sink, I eventually managed to settle my stomach and get a grip. I realized that worrying wouldn't do any good, and that I could only wait and see. For the time being, the matter was out of my hands. As I attempted to restore some sense of normality to my day, my mind turned back to work, my collecting gig with Marcus. With our usual meeting time having come and gone, it was already too late for me to head out. Even if I left, I wouldn't have any clue where to go, since our destinations were told to Marcus directly. What a blunder. I killed 2 people, left evidence and a witness at the scene, and now I'm skipping work with my crime boss, which my crime boss expects me to complete. Today really couldn't have gone any worse, could it? Oh well, no use worrying about it now. If Marcus wants me, he knows where to find me. Right now, I just need to take it easy. I'll relax on the couch, watch some TV, and do my best to escape from this awful reality I seem to be living. Clutching the remote in my hand, I began flipping through channels until I found one playing cartoons. Currently playing was a kids program aimed at children 8 and under, suitable for all ages. Now this is what I'm talking about. What better way is there to escape from the bloodshed taking over my life? After the first cartoon finished, I changed to a different channel, trying my luck while the commercials continued to play between shows. Unfortunately, only one channel seemed to be playing cartoons. There were dozens of reality TV shows, a few news programs, but nothing close to the lighthearted entertainment I was after. I kept flipping through channels until I rested on a morning news program, sighing deeply as I resigned myself to learning about the real world after all. As much as I wanted to escape reality for a while, sensationalist news stories can't possibly be as confronting as my new job, let alone my morning. I sat through a few minutes of puff pieces before flipping back to the cartoon channel I was on previously. As luck would have it, however, what followed the cartoon was a live-action kids show instead. Kids no older than 12 sitting in a fake classroom playing on smartphones. How stimulating. This is what kids watch nowadays? Now I just feel old. What's so interesting about watching preteens bond over how difficult their little lives are? Oh, you ran out of credit on your prepaid plan? You're practically a third-world orphan. What were your parents thinking, trying to teach you moderation? They're practically Nazis. Your teacher assigned you difficult homework. You poor thing. What am I doing? I need to calm down already. Ranting about this shit isn't going to do me any good. There are things I need to do, and none of them involve watching worthless trash like this. Flicking the channel back over to the morning news, I headed on into the bathroom once more, choosing to focus on cleaning up after myself. It would be rather filthy of me to leave the bathroom smelling like vomit, not to mention downright careless. Can't risk having Sara learn about what happened here today, or about anything I did today. With that in mind, I quickly scrubbed the sink clean, then turned my attention to my clothes. Although the hooded jumper I threw away absorbed most of the damage, my shirt still smells pretty bad, and it can't be that hard to do the laundry, right? Okay, the washing machine appears to be on. Now what? Do I just throw the clothes in there, or do I need to do something to them first? For that matter, where is the laundry? Isn't there a basket of clothes around here somewhere? Okay, maybe I should start with something I actually know how to do. I'm no chef, but surely even I can make a proper meal now that we have actual ingredients. Sara's been doing all of the cooking lately. It's about time I made something for her instead. Now, what to make? We still have some chicken, eggs, tomato. Okay, I guess I'll make instant noodles. Good lord, I'm pathetic. Now we turn to local news. As I pulled a packet of instant noodles out of the cupboard, I heard the television from the next room. I guess this isn't so bad. I suppose it's kind of cool that I can listen to the news while I cook. I almost feel like a stay-at-home dad or a house husband. Earlier this morning, 2 fugitives were found in critical condition in an abandoned house. I ran back in the living room and hastily clamored for the remote control. I increased the volume and leaned forward, nervously watching the screen. The older of the two, who was released from a juvenile detention center 6 months ago, was found with his spine severed just above the lumbar. He was rushed to a hospital in an attempt to minimize damages, but at this stage it appears as though he will never walk again. So he survived after all. Whether I should feel relieved or anxious about that, the end result is that he won't be able to hurt anyone else. I'd call that a victory. Maybe daytime television isn't so bad after all. The younger of the two, an offender whom police had previously been able to attach a name to, was found with his throat slashed. Police believe the young man bled out within minutes and died at the scene. Died at the scene, huh? The older of the two is still yet to wake up, and police have been unable to confirm the identity of their assailant. Given that his wound appears to have been dealt from behind, however, police do not expect a positive identification. Well, hooray for me. I may not be able to clean clothes or cook real food, but at least I can blindly commit and get away from horrific crimes. That's something, I guess. One witness is currently in police custody, but due to their age, police refuse to disclose the person's identity. Given the proximity of the crime scene in regards to a nearby high school, we believe that... A witness, huh? I have no doubts regarding the identity of this witness. The question is, will she talk? They did use the term witness, meaning they know she saw something, but she wouldn't rat me out, would she? You're deluding yourself. Is it really so far-fetched? I helped her, she helps me, that's how it works, right? Right? Yes, I know I'm right. There's no need to fret over this, or to worry about what might happen. I've done nothing wrong. Desperate to distract myself, I showed up at Andre's gym at noon on the dot, soon meeting up with my usual sparring partners. In addition to Andre teaching me grappling, Marcus had drafted a couple of boxers interested in teaching a new recruit the basics. I had only engaged in a few sessions with each of them, since I'm currently receiving training every second or third day, but we quickly warmed up to one another nonetheless. I greeted the trio, received my training gear, quickly changed, and joined them along ringside. Since they spend most of their time at the gym, at least from what I gather, nobody here should have heard a word of my earlier exploits. Moreover, since Marcus is yet to arrive himself, my absence from work this morning should also be unknown to those present. Thinking those optimistic thoughts, my training for the day began. My training followed the same motions as ever. Andre and I tried to knock one another to the floor, after which point we attempted to make the other tap out. After half an hour or so of uncoordinated grappling, Andre explained in detail how to perform specific holds and breaks while demonstrating on my body. thereafter asking that I mimic what he showed me. Partway through today's uncoordinated grappling, however, we were interrupted by an unusual sight. Wow. Jesus Christ, what the hell happened to you? Nice to see you too, buddy. I don't suppose you got any spare medical kits lying around? Yeah. Sit down a minute, we'll take care of you. Andre motioned for the two boxers to help Marcus into the next room, presumably begin patching him up. Their footsteps slowly became inaudible, leaving just Andre and I outside the ring. And that's what happens when your partner decides to skip work. How did you... The two of you always arrive together. The one day you don't, he walks in covered in injuries. It doesn't take a genius to figure out. I haven't been coming here long, but Andre's right. Whenever I do show up, Marcus is right by my side. As for his other point, however, I know I should have been there, but he's been collecting since before I showed up, right? When we went out, it didn't even seem like he needed a partner. Yes, well, before you showed up, I was the one making collections. Marcus was the one supporting me. He wanted to prove that he has what it takes, so I let him take the lead as long as he agreed to bring you with him. You aren't the only one who's still in training, you know. Damn it. I thought Marcus could take care of himself, but it turns out I was paired with him for more than just my own training. Now, because I forced him to fend for himself in an extremely risky job, Marcus is in need of medical attention. I didn't think for a second about his safety when I ditched work this morning. The thought that he might get injured never even registered. And yet, thanks to my negligence, he could have been... No use worrying about it now. What's done is done. I just hope you're up to the challenge. The challenge? Don't play dumb. You know what I'm talking about. With Marcus in that state, he won't be able to take the lead for a while. Someone else will have to take over. So unless you stumble upon another source of revenue since we last spoke, you'd better hope you're up to the task. After leaving the gym a little earlier than usual, I slowly made my way back home. I thought about everything that had happened since I woke up, the rapid, unforeseen events that threw my day into chaos. To begin with, I stalked my sister who had been acting abnormally lately and discovered the reason for her melancholy. I then watched a girl get abducted and consequently killed and paralyzed her would-be rapists. I skipped work, the price for which was paid by my partner who was badly injured. Last but not least, I was promoted to lead collector, despite being on the job for a mere 2 weeks. But even as I mulled over the bizarre day I had, I didn't regret my actions. I considered my deeds to be idiotic and impulsive, sure, but I did not regret them. Marcus knew the risks, and the two I attacked deserve far worse. Those three will receive no pity from me. The only one who suffered needlessly today was the girl I freed, and her situation would have been far worse if I hadn't shown up. And yet, despite that being the logical conclusion, why do I feel so bad? Forget it. There's no point thinking about this any further. I just want today to end already. As I walked through the kitchen, what awaited me was a sight I sorely needed to see. You're back early. Today just keeps on getting better. Stumbling out of the living room was Sara, as lively and elated as I've ever seen her. As if her tone and demeanor weren't enough, her clothing spoke volumes about her mental state. Sara has always disliked wearing dresses and skirts. In fact, it took years before she finally stopped wearing my pants at school and actually tried on a skirt. But when she's this happy, even her unfounded body issues won't stop her from showing off. Good evening, my dear sister. You sure seem to be in good mood. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Hearing about my exploits and seeing Marcus's sorry state shook me, but if that's what it takes to see Sara this happy, then I'd do it again in a heartbeat. How could I not be? Didn't you hear? There was an assault near my school earlier today. She found out about that already? Wait, forget about that. She's excited that there was an assault? In any case, an assault? And you're excited about that? No, it's not like that. They had it coming. Whoa. Anyway, like I was saying, these two, criminals, they abducted a girl from my school. They grabbed her on the way to school between the train station and the school gates. She tried to break free, but the two guys were too strong for her. That's when he showed up. He who? Well, you know those comic books you used to read when we were young? People would put on costumes and go around fighting criminals, taking the law into their own hands. I always thought it was rather silly, to be honest. Heroes showing up out of nowhere to save the day? Hey, there's no need for that. I'd still read them now if I had the luxury. But it really does happen. A vigilante showed up. He beat up the bad guys and saved an innocent girl. A vigilante? I suppose that's technically true, though I wound up committing more crimes than I stopped. It's amazing to think that people like that really do exist. Really? Of course. If more people were like that, crime wouldn't be such a problem. Is this really my sister? I thought you were a believer in the justice system. What happened to pursuing a career in law? Those are two separate matters. Sometimes the system doesn't work and people have to take the law into their own hands. If the system did always work, we wouldn't be in the city to begin with. I can't refute that. So, this vigilante... Come in. Good evening. Good evening, Sara. Wait, it's evening already? You should really go outside once in a while, you know. And ruin my perfect complexion. Moving along, I have information I think you should hear. Have you been watching or reading the news at all? The news? Why would I do that? Half of it is fabricated and the rest is just plain boring. Usually I'd agree with you, but today... What is it? Let's just say I have my eyes on someone who I think would be perfect for our upcoming operation. As Sara's fascination with the vigilante at large deepened, and our discussion spanned a greater portion of our night than anticipated, Sara and I soon found ourselves eating dinner while watching a news recap of the very event we'd been discussing. But as Sara remained glued to the television, what intrigued me more than the tales of my violent morning was Sara's enthusiasm and her uncharacteristic stance in regards to what had happened. I'd initially been worried that my actions, my violent degradation, would inevitably drive us apart should I be exposed. I thought that the sight of me covered in a stranger's blood would sicken my sister, maybe even prompt her to call the police. However, as Sara unknowingly heard of my exploits, she wholeheartedly agreed with what I did. She happily regaled me with baseless rumors she heard at school, her own theories on the matter, and without a doubt made dinner far more lively. Than usual. This probably need to be worded a little better. I don't know. Despite the morbid topic, our night was as happy as peaceful as possible. Right up until the moment when she brought up the witness. While I found some solace in the fact that the police were knocking on her door, I wasn't naive enough to believe that they'd have no leads whatsoever. Between the DNA I left at the scene, and that girl being in police custody, they aren't going to just drop the investigation. Now, he didn't actually leave any DNA, he left fingerprints. The DNA would be something like spit or blood, which he didn't bleed on them, he didn't spit on the body. So there shouldn't be anything there. The closest thing to DNA being left would actually be the sweatshirt if it had any of his hairs, but that's a bit of an oversight, I guess. And yet, with such things now out of my control, all I can do is wait. As Sara and I prepared to go to sleep, I asked her a question. Say, Sara, you know the witness from school, right? Do you think you can get any more information from her? What did you think I was planning on doing? There's no way I could leave this alone that easily. I should have known. Finally ready to accept my reward for a day full of hardship, I laid down without another word. No matter how exhausted I am or how conflicted I feel, there's nothing a good night's rest can't cure. Don't worry, I'll keep you posted. Sara navigated her way from the light switch to her bed, soon snuggling up to her idolized vigilante. Sweet dreams. So that was a very eventful chapter.